Hey Brian, okay, I have your watch here. It is evaluation day after the long Labor Day weekend. Uh, the movement looks generally pretty bright, pretty clean looking. The balance is nicely in plane. There's no lubrication at all under the capsule. It's just dust. So that's the first place I look. You also have a fair amount of wear underneath your mainspring arbor port. If you look here, look at the top of this screw. See all the movement? The lower end of this this screw sits on an axle. The lower end of that axle is down in the main plate. You can actually see how the numbers changed when I moved that. It was going down pretty steadily. Then I hit that and flexed it, and the numbers jumped up. It had been running at around 180. And what happens when that mainspring barrel is really worn like that, instead of running in a nice flat plane, it's kicked over and it's sort of grinding and shearing at an angle, and it sucks up a lot of power. But generally speaking, the watch is running decently for the fact that it's unserviced and has such a seriously worn lower mainspring arbor port. I mean, it's not out of adjustment. It's definitely, the numbers are definitely low. This is 40 to 60 points low easily. So it's going to need a service, and we're going to need to talk about repairing the lower mainspring arbor port on this. It's just something that we see with the 6000 series Seikos, because they have really big wheels, relatively speaking, and a really big balance, relatively speaking. And it takes a lot more push and torque to get them to move up to speed. And so as a result, everything wears more, and the mainspring barrel wears more. You can see that the numbers here are dropping. Numbers here are dropping. Dropping. But I bet you anything, if I go back over here, sorry, and I push this down again, let's see what happens to the numbers. See if I'm right or wrong. They jump up. No, not really. Whatever. Okay, let's talk cosmetics, because you had a number of cosmetic questions. And also there's going to be some of the things you asked for I simply don't do. Okay, so let us put this back right here. Your seals they're old. Not ancient, they're old though. They're pretty flattened out. Certain things I don't recommend on these. People ask about relooming on these all the time, and that's relooming these is a really serious problem, because unlike earlier Seiko dials, which is where a liquid loom was put in, these were actually screen printed, flat printed, and there's almost no way to replicate the way that this loom looks correctly. It would be I just don't do it. I won't even do it on my own watches. Your dial loom is quite good. I would leave it be. I mean, from a collector and value standpoint, having loom in this condition is good. Your hand loom is original, but it's damaged. I can see that the surface of the hands is hazy, and the loom sinks a little bit, but it's still not bad. I mean, it's still relatively white. If I clean these hands, it might be a little bit better. I did see the insert that you sent, and that's fine. Two of the things you asked about. You asked to have this replaced with a sapphire crystal with AR. I don't use or deal with sapphire at all. My thing is restoration of Seiko watches to stock original. I use Hardlex mineral crystal, the exact same crystal that was in this originally. That's what I use. If you provide me with a sapphire crystal with AR, I can put it in for you, but I don't use them or recommend them. Another thing you asked for was water resistance. I don't certify water resistance at all. Yes, I'll go through and I'll do the seals and I'll clean the case, and that for me is, that's the right thing to do, because it maintains the internal atmosphere, and it's for dust exclusion and stuff like that. I don't pressure test. I have a pressure tester. I haven't unboxed it in years. I do not test for water resistance at all. These watches, in my opinion, are not dive watches anymore. So for some people, that's a deal breaker. They really want to have their watches pressure tested, but I can't really do that. Part of the reason I do that is because many of these seals have been discontinued. I have seals that I can use, certainly that are the right material. They're Buna and nitrile, and they're excellent quality, and they're the exact right dimensions, but they're not made by Seiko. So It's just something to think about. The day date stuff, that's minor. I'm not concerned about that. Anything in the movement, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I see so many of these, it's really not going to be an issue. So you need to make a decision about what you want me to do, if in fact anything, because two of the things you wanted I can't do. I can't do water resistance, and I don't reloom this kind of a watch. So everything else I can do, I can make it run beautifully, and I can certainly rebuild the case with all new seals and everything else like that, but I don't test for resistance, and I don't reloom this. So I can make it look very clean, and I can make it run beautifully, but those two other things I can't do. So you let me know if you want me to go ahead. Okay, thank you.